So I waited a little bit to talk about this movie because when I decided that I was going to start reviewing Daily Wire movies, I expected reactions like this.
Oh, wow! Wow!
Gotta love that that's considered normal behavior at this point, but that's a topic for another video. What's going on, guys? I'm Tyler, and I'm here to let you know that the Hyperions is no perfect movie. And in this film, the Hyperions are a superhero team that was created in the 1960s by Professor Mandulbaum, played by Carrie Elways, who invented this device called a Titan badge that, when worn, can grant a certain person one specific superpower. But after a falling out between his original team, he replaces the majority of them with a younger generation, and as a result, two of the members that he replaced, played by Penelope Mitchell and Alfonso Macaulay, decide to try stealing their badges back in a bizarre robbery-turned-hostage situation. Now, for all of my friends, family members, and longtime viewers who are wondering why in the hell I would go near any movie that has Ben Shapiro's name on it, or why I would even subscribe to the Daily Wire just to access their entertainment, because without getting into specific details, I don't watch their news content. I don't listen to their podcasts. I'm not a conservative, but I'm also not a liberal either. I don't believe in choosing one side of the political spectrum to get a grasp on the worldview. I just don't find that, one, healthy, and two, I don't find it a realistic belief either. And on top of that, I'm just fucking sick to death of everything from Hollywood sticking to one side of the political spectrum and shoving a one-sided message down your throat in nearly every movie or show that you can come up with. I'm just sick to death of movies like Charlie's Angels, Black Christmas, Shadow in the Cloud, Two Distant Strangers, Antebellum, The 355, Turning Red, every Marvel or Disney remake since 2015, with a few exceptions, that spend half the movie hammering it into your skull how important it is to treat everyone regardless of gender, sexual identity, race, disability, and religion when it's a topical thing. Messages that are important and great and well-intended that have been in movies and shows for decades before I was even born. You can see the messages a mile away at this point, and for whatever reason, the cast and crew think that it's revolutionary, and the audience just doesn't give a shit. It's like they almost want movies to be an echo chamber for things that they already agree with. And I'm sorry, but it's a fucking stupid thing to believe in anymore. I'm sick to death of movies that tell you the characters are investing because of their race or their gender or their sexual identity, as opposed to their positive and negative qualities in their character arcs. I'm sick of movies that say if you philosophically disagree in the slightest, if you point out that underrepresented characters can sometimes be portrayed as unrealistically flawless, meanwhile anyone who's considered overrepresented or privileged is just a complete buffoon and an idiot and an asshole, or point out that a diverse movie, cast and crew-wise, can still be a bad one in terms of quality, like The Eternals, you're instantly labeled a white supremacist, misogynistic bigot, even if you come from the exact demographic the movie is trying to appeal. You gotta fucking love when that happens, right? And look, if that means giving money towards people who I sometimes think can be complete and utter scumbags, because I don't like everything that Ben Shapiro says. There are a few things I agree with him on, but it's based on luck at best. And Jeremy Boring, yeah, that is his last name, should not be called a God King. He should really be called a douche king based on that Razor commercial alone. But if they're seriously making movies that are apolitical in nature, despite the fact that they do share some conservative values, but also values that can appeal to anyone on the political spectrum, of course I'm going to go and support it. I don't need a movie to educate me based on shit that I already know about and already learned in much better detail in school. I don't need a movie to agree with my personal values. I just need to be entertained. And the Hyperions, while nothing spectacular, in fact loses quite a bit of steam as time goes by, is entertaining. Jeremy Boring, God, I feel stupid saying that as his last name, but here we are, described the Hyperions in interviews as if Wes Anderson directed the original Pete's Dragon, and that is absolutely true. John McDonald is an immensely talented director who's unique in that he's great at taking old-fashioned cinematic techniques that make it appear as if the movie was shot on a higher budget than it was, kind of like what Disney movies of the past would do, but also to evoke this warm, nostalgic feeling in nearly every frame or shot that makes it feel as if you're actually watching a movie from the 60s, right down to the fact that if you look really closely, you can see film grains, scratches, and even those Fight Club cigarette burns within the frame. It is that incredibly seamless. The awesome sets and production and costume design, even when the designs look incredibly outdated and too reminiscent of that time period, they are all so gorgeous to look at based on the vintage feeling. The fact that it evokes the time period so naturally, again, just like the minor indents into the frame, it literally does feel like you're watching the 60s unfold. And it's even more amazing that almost everything in this movie is 100% practical. John McDonald actually made the majority of props himself by hand, according to Boring, and I have absolutely no idea what materials he worked with, but the effort really goes to show. And when it comes to creating a Wes Anderson-style superhero movie, the way that he decides to show the Hyperions' biggest accomplishments when it comes to crime fighting can come across as, on paper, a little lazy and a tad boring, because there are only one or two action sequences. Most of the violence happens off-screen, and you only really see the aftermath, and the glory moments of the Hyperion's past are mainly presented through these 60s-style commercials that also serve as exposition for the backstory of the team along with Professor Mandulbaum, but it's the way that McDonald presents all of these scenarios that makes it absolutely mind-blowing. The 60s commercials that serve as exposition are literally shot and presented as if they were a Walt Disney PSA. Cary Elwes in these commercials is basically turning into Disney himself as he's narrating the past alongside a sidekick in these incredible 2D animation sequences that were awesome to look at. The animation was so bright, colorful, vibrant. The imaginative scenarios were absolutely insane. My jaw was on the floor the entire time. And it doesn't even stop at the animation shorts. The way that live action and animation is incorporated into this film, where the sole original member of the team has the ability to teleport, and she always leaves behind these clouds of pixie dust that other characters interact off of, or this one fantastic sequence where Mandulbaum is so conflicted over what to do in this situation that everything around him starts to turn animated, even the objects that he's holding within his hand. I don't know if it was rotoscoped or if it was animated first and green screened, but the effort was so amazing. It didn't matter if some of it looked fake. It looked beautiful. It looked like something that I haven't seen in years. This is ironically the kind of Disney movie that I wish we got more often. You would think that with the $200 million budgets that they have, they could break it down into smaller $50 or even $10 million movies to go right back to their roots. But it's basically wishful thinking at this point, and quite frankly, I think this is the closest we're ever going to get to having something that feels like old-fashioned Disney anymore. But if that's the case, honestly, I can absolutely live with that. And in regards to the action sequences, even though there's a little bit of shaky cam and choppy editing, you can still see the actors executing their own stunts. The fact that the character who does the majority of the action scenes does have the ability to teleport, it makes it a lot more fun to watch. And the violent scenarios in the aftermath are so shockingly morbid in its sense of humor. It'll start off with a character observing just how fucked up the scenario is, and then the camera will pan over to see someone sitting in a pool of their own blood. Some of the violent aftermaths are so fucked up, I can't believe that this actually got a PG rating, or that Shapiro even said, hey, this could appeal to families, and Boring's just like, well, we're not appealing to the kiddies yet, which I don't think you guys need to at this point. You're doing okay. Now, the only other Wes Anderson comparisons really come down to shot composition, where nearly every actor is perfectly symmetrically staged within the frame, and especially when it comes down to the tone of this movie. Because this isn't really a superhero action comedy. It's more of a character-driven drama with occasional bits of comedy and action that aren't laugh-out-loud funny, but smiling so wide and snickering funny. And with much more scenes than I thought there would be of characters watching something that reminds them of their tragic past and reflecting on it with no dialogue whatsoever, they got a great cast who were able to convey so many different emotions just through their facial expressions alone. I doubt that Cary Elwes is happy to be in a Daily Wire movie based on how he feels about Ted Cruz alone, but that doesn't change the fact that this is easily his best performance, possibly in decades, and the dynamic between him and Penelope Mitchell's character Vista was the true heart of the film that surprised me quite a bit, in that the movie takes as much time as it can to flesh out the troubled relationship between the two of them without spoiling everything that went down between them right away. When she's committing a serious felony with armed robbery and kidnapping, and he hasn't technically done anything wrong, you still root for Vista, because while the Hyperions were always presented as these perfect, invulnerable heroes, in reality, they got injured on the job a lot, but Mandulbaum covered up their injuries for the sake of protecting their image, and that leads Vista to believe that that's one of many examples that he cares about the team as opposed to the team members. And initially, it seems proven by the fact that he, on the surface, has this oblivious money can buy love attitude, and when you show the slightest bit of disagreement or resentment, he is quick to deem you ungrateful, cut you out of his life, to the point where even when someone sends hundreds of letters in an attempt at reconciliation, he's so betrayed by them that he doesn't even read the letters. But without spoiling anything, once it's revealed what actually happened between the two of them, regardless of whether she feels remorseful about it, her idea of rebelling against the professor involved making some terrible decisions where he has every right to feel betrayed by her. And even though he appears to be so intelligent, charismatic, and articulate on screen, the professor is actually kind of on a leash. He's always told what to do or say by publicists who literally put words in his mouth and make decisions for him to his face, including kicking some of the team members out of the Hyperions. And while he's a coward for letting it happen, you can see in his eyes that he still cares for these people deeply, just based on the fact that they were willing to put everything on the line in order to be superheroes, that they legitimately believed in the cause of fighting crime and making the world a better place. You know for a fact that he isn't an inherent guy, and you know that he cares. He just doesn't have his own version of Alfred to put him in his place for his mistakes and encourage him to stand up for himself, at least until the sole original member of the team, who is played very well by Elaine Tan, and in my opinion gives the best performance, starts to open her mouth up a lot more. She kind of serves as the den mother of the movie, where she has to listen to Vista's side of the story and the professor's, playing devil's advocate with both of them, and trying to find multiple different ways to confront both of them for their stubbornness in ways that they can mutually understand. Alfonso Macaulay, on the other hand, is severely underutilized as the other Forsaken member, Ansel, despite the fact that he technically has a much more tragic past in regards to how he was kicked out of the team. He was probably the most selfless member of the Hyperions. Even when he gets kicked out of the team, someone says, "What is it that you also want to do with your life?" And he's just like, "Well, nothing. I'm saving people. I'm making a difference. And more importantly, I want to do it." And the reasons as to why he was kicked out was unbelievably petty. And one would think that after everything he's been through, he'd be the one that'd be more motivated to steal the Titan badges. One would think that he would be the ringleader of all of this. But for the most part, he only serves as a side character, as a comedic foil alongside the other hostages, who do get some funny moments, or he just disappears into the background to make more room for Vista, because without spoiling anything, there's a twist surrounding her true motivation that wasn't a bad motivation by any means, but it was pretty generic, and it felt like it was there just to absolve her and Ansel of any wrongdoing, even though they're committing some serious felonies, and it involves the inclusion of a surprise villain that was so poorly set up. It's the only reason that you're not going to see it a mile away. As soon as that villain was revealed, I just sat there, I'm like, so earlier on, that was supposed to be a clue, really? It made absolutely no sense, and it was incredibly rushed. As opposed to the initial setup where everyone except the original team member Maya had morally gray qualities that served the team dynamic and would make for a much more complex superhero movie where there wouldn't be any easy answers in the resolution. This one kind of goes back to that Marvel formula where in each solo movie, almost all of the characters either end up good guys or bad guys in the end, and everything is just too neatly tied up. It does get consistently less entertaining as time goes by, but it doesn't change the fact that I still walked out of the Hyperions with a huge smile on my face based on the talent in front of and behind the camera. I'm happy to say that John McDonald is now becoming one of my new indie filmmakers because he feels so fresh and new with old-fashioned techniques. Penelope Mitchell, Carrie Elways, Alfonso Macaulay with the little bit of time that he gets, and especially Elaine Tan, are fantastic actors, and the fact that they took such a risk standing by the product that they had, because they obviously didn't know that it was going to be bought by Daily Wire, is commendable. And to be honest, as soon as Terror on the Prairie comes out, a movie that I'm actually looking forward to, because it looks like it's going back to a Sergio Leone type Western, and I really don't give a shit what Gina Carano said. I didn't defend her because of what she said. I defended her despite what she said. There's a huge difference there. And altogether, just seeing more movies that are apolitical in nature and serve for the focus of entertainment, I'm going to keep watching and reviewing Daily Wire movies from this point on. So for that reason, among many others, I'm going to give the Hyperions a 3.5 out of 5. Guys, thanks as always for watching. If you by chance have seen the Hyperions, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. You don't have to get a Daily Wire membership to rent this one in particular. Like I said, they don't have the distribution rights in Canada, so go through whatever loopholes you had and just trust me in giving this movie a chance. It's universally acceptable and accessible. You may have a good time, as I don't... See what this is doing to me? Like, the fact that I'm so afraid of what could happen to me just for saying, hey, they made a good movie. I'm not going to say I enjoyed it by accident, even though it's only available on Daily Wire. I'm not sure how you watched it by accident without knowing it was them. Look, my thoughts are a mess because this whole culture war is a fucking mess. And it's absolutely pathetic. Be sure to like and subscribe. Stay tuned for future reviews. And be sure to check out my other channel with Josh Gofton. We have an upcoming video where we talk about the Narnia trilogy. It was one of the best collaborations I've ever done with him. Go check it out. And once again, thank you all very much for watching. Take care.